Shout out to you. It's Lisa, right? Or is it Liza or Lisa?
Lisa.
Shout out Lisa. She
Thank you.
was lit. Chapman, stand up.
I'm here with Jaylin Sanders. He is a dancer who was on season 18 of So You Think You Can Dance and is currently on tour performing in the Hip Hop Nutcracker. Thank you so much for meeting with me tonight. Let's get straight
Ooh,
into
thanks
it.
for having me.
Yeah. How would you describe your style of dance?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my style of dance consists mainly of like two genres. So mainly hip hop, right? Hip hop freestyle, like foundation, as well as like animation, which you could say is a subpart from the style of popping. And so I started with animation and then learned hip hop freestyle. So I ended up fusing the two, and that's kind of like my style today.
Yeah, and speaking of So You Think You Can Dance, what was your most memorable moment?
Ooh, that show was wild. I would say the most memorable moment would probably be honestly like the first audition because like watching So You Think You Can Dance growing up, I always thought the auditions were like the coolest part. And like for me, that was something that I would really would like wanted to focus on was my audition and like how it was going to be perceived. So like I always really like my audition performance. And that's the part I felt most fulfilled from, honestly.
Yeah. What was the audition process like? Was it
Ooh,
challenging?
that process, yeah. You had to wake up like OD early. Like I think we had to be in the lobby by like 6 a.m. or like 5:45 a.m. But it was one of the things where it's like nobody was really sleeping anyway, because you got so much like jitters and like also I was writing a 7-page paper, but that's past the point. So
Dang.
I was yeah, I was up. I was still doing college assignments during the audition. So I was up late anyway, but I remember I was so nervous. I kind of for me personally, like I like having like a big audience or like feeling like I have to like pull up. Like it honestly makes me dance better. So I was obviously nervous, but like it was I was excited more than I was nervous, I would say, to like really show what I could do like on a big platform. So I just went out and I was myself and I was blessed to end up making it through the next round.
Were there any challenges, like when you had to learn a routine or a
Oh
stunt?
my gosh. Yeah. So I would say for me, specifically with the audition process, I like grown up my life, I've done like choreography. But it's mainly just been hip hop. So I never really trained in a jazz or like ballet or anything like that. Like I had taken a couple of classes, like just because of the company I was in, but most of my life growing up, I learned straight just like hip hop choreo. So I can pick up hip hop choreo like pretty quick, but like other styles, it's definitely an adjustment.
And now transitioning to, Hip Hop Nutcracker, what was
Yeah.
that audition process like?
That one was actually so fun for me. So I would say something that was good about the show is that it makes everything else in the industry like a lot easier in a sense, like just the process. In the Hip Hop Nutcracker, I play this role called flute. The flute is like, I have a flute, right? And then the flute goes into my body and then it starts like controlling me and it's like, oh, like it's throwing me around. And that's pretty much like the concept. So I had to do that in the audition and then also had to like do a couple of different other pieces, but it was really fun and a smooth process, I would say.
And since you're on tour, what is your favorite part about traveling?
Ooh, I would definitely say going to like random cities and like cities I would never like have just traveled to on my own. Specifically, right now I'm in Bloomington, Illinois. Didn't know it existed, but it's cool to like. Not gonna hold you. No shade anybody Bloomington. Didn't know it existed, but like it's cool to see just certain cities, and it's also really cool to see how crowds react differently to certain parts. It's like, oh, this crowd found this part really funny. This crowd found this part really cool, and so yeah, I just think being able to travel and go to places I didn't think I would go, is cool.
Yeah. And lastly, how do you prepare mentally and physically? You're performing every night or almost every night.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say mentally, the first couple shows are kind of nerve wracking because it's like, all right, like this is a lot of pieces. There's a lot of like small nuances in like Broadway shows where it's like, you know, oh, okay, like certain small stuff I didn't really know because like I had done like some plays before, but never something like on this high of like a level for theater. So just like stuff like remembering to keep your body open and not closed towards the audience on like interaction parts, like stuff like that is was nerve-wracking. So like mentally just like knowing how not to get like down on yourself.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Peace.
Such a cool guy.